The battle wasn't going completely bad for the companions. Rachel the Rogue was doing her usual job of dodging most of the blows that were targeted at her. Fred the Fighter was powering through, deflecting a lot of the attacks with his shield and raining down heavy blows with his sword. And even Connie the Cleric, her shield of faith was protecting her, and she was at a safe distance, raining down holy terror on the demonic hordes that were in front of them. Wally the Wizard, he wasn't doing so well. He had found himself isolated from the others, and now he was surrounded by a group of demons when their foreman came forward and said, "Out of my way, that caster is mine." The demon's big wings spread, and he pulled out his wicked sword. Wally was hurt really badly, and that sword was coming. And in that moment, Wally said, "Gee, I'm really glad I had that contingency spell." And just as the sword blow was about to hit, boop, Wally the Wizard was dimension doored away to the other side of the area, completely away from the battle, where he could down a superior healing potion, and then he set off an ice storm on all these fire-based demons, and that turned the tide of the battle. Alright, hey everybody, my name is DM Gallibond. This is Arcane Wednesday for November 18, 2020, and from what we just described, you may guess that today we are talking about the contingency spell. Contingency. Alright, well, what is contingency? What does it mean and how does it work? Well, let's take a look back at the history of the game and see where this spell came from and what it has done over the years. Now, in original D&D, contingency existed, and it was a 9th level spell for magic users. So it had an indefinite duration, and the effect is that it prepares one other spell. So it acts as a trigger for one stated magic user spell. Second spell must be a 4th level or less. This is in the old edition. Those rules have changed over time. Second spell must be a 4th level or less. It does not normally cause damage. While creating a contingency spell, the magic user must describe one situation and the spell which is contingent upon it. When that situation next occurs, the contingent spell triggers automatically and immediately as if cast at that time. So, examples of proper use. When I am touched or struck by any living creature that is not a lawful or neutral cleric, except for my friends Charlie McGonnell and Sally Silvernose, that's the contingency, then cast Charm Monster on the creature touching or striking me, and that's the spell. So when I have 8 hit points or less and I'm about to be damaged, that's the contingency. Then cast Dimension Door on myself to take me to a destination 1 inch above ground level, directly upward, or, if that is greater than 360 feet away, to the furthest unoccupied area within range that I have seen within 12-hour period prior to the existence of this contingency. Whew. What? Wow. That's a really complicated one, but that's the spell effect. Okay, you can only have one contingency on you, and the contingency lasts until those conditions are met. And it doesn't matter whether you actually want the contingency to go off. If you set the conditions and those conditions are met, the contingency goes off. So, in this edition, I think ninth level spell, making it something that lasts until the conditions are met, that's kind of cool. And that also kind of gives us a little bit of something to look at as we go to later editions in the spell, or in the later editions of the rules. So it didn't appear in first edition, but it came back in second edition. And when it came back, it was a 6th level spell instead of a 9th level spell. And a wizard is able to place another spell upon his person, so that the latter spell will come into effect on the conditions dictated during the casting of the contingency. Spell brought into the effect is one that affects the wizard's person: featherfall, levitation, fly, feign death, etc. And a spell no higher than 1/3 the caster's experience level rounded down, but not higher than 6th level. Okay. So in other words, if the caster is 12th to 14th, the contingency is 4th. 15th to 17th, the contingency is 5th. And 18 plus, the contingency is 6th. And that's the maximum. So 6th level or below, 5th level or below, 4th level or below. Only one contingency can happen at a time. And, and this one gives you some simpler things. So like contingency could bring featherfall into effect anytime the wizard falls more than 2 feet. So say, hey, if I ever fall more than 5 feet, hit me with a featherfall. Oh, okay, all right, that's good. Material components of this spell, in addition to those of the companion spell. So you have to have all the material components for whatever spell you're going to use as a contingency. You have to have 100 gold pieces worth of quicksilver and an eyelash of an ogre mage, a Kirin, or a similar spell-using monster. In addition, the spell requires a statuette of the wizard carved from elephant ivory, and that's not destroyed, but it's subject to wear and tear. Oh yes, because all of the old editions, they had hit points for all of your little items, and whenever you were in a bad thing, like you fell off a horse or you were hit by a fireball, all of your things had to make saving throws to see if they survived. So you could break your statue of yourself and then, oh, there goes your contingency. Sorry. Then let's take a look at 3rd edition. So contingency is Sorcerer Wizard 6, at least 10 minutes, and so the casting time here in this edition is either 10 minutes or the length of time it takes to cast the contingency, the spell you're going to use as contingency, whichever is longer. And then same edition or same rules about the spell no higher than 1/3 your caster level rounded down, maximum 6th. And then the duration here is 1 day per level or until discharged. And that's one thing I didn't mention here is the duration is 1 day per level. So the here it was indefinite. In 2nd and 3rd edition, it's 1 day per level. And then the now here's an interesting thing. If complicated or convoluted conditions are prescribed, the whole spell combination, contingency, and the companion magic may fail when called on. So this is a thing that your dungeon master can use. They can maybe make you write out what the contingency is and give it to them. And then they will decide, okay, are there some like logical fallacies here? Did you put yourself in a situation where kind of there's a pretzel logic where there's not really an actual situation that this applies to, or it applies to too many situations to be actually useful? And when you think it should go off, oh, no, sorry, it fails. Make your contingency more simple next time. Thank you. Next. Please drive through. All right. Material component is the companion spell, that Quicksilver Eyelash of the Ogre Mage, and it requires a focus. Now, this is a little bit different. Statuette carved of yew from elephant ivory, and decorated with gems worth at least 1,500 gold pieces. Okay, so yeah, you gotta carry around an expensive statue that's likely to get pickpocketed, and you must have the focus for the contingency to work. So yeah, you're carrying around a really expensive item that might be nice for a thief, and if they ever steal it, sorry, there goes your contingency. All right, so in fifth edition, and of course this doesn't exist in fourth edition. In 5th edition, it's a 6th level spell, and it's for wizards only, and their duration is 10 days. Otherwise, it acts pretty much the same. And it is 5th level or lower that you can cast, and has a casting time of 1 action, and that can target you. And it specifies here that the spell only targets you, even if normally when you cast it, it can target multiple creatures. So that's another limitation in 5th edition. And then the material component is that statuette, and if the contingency will end if that component is ever not on your person. So in earlier editions, you had to have that statuette for it to work. So like it could be stolen, you could go get it back, and then if the conditions are met, it might work. In 5th edition, if it's ever stolen in the first place, or you ever lose it in the first place, contingency immediately ends, and it will not come back. Now, I mentioned something about how the um, ninth ninth edition, or a ninth level spell of original edition, could give you some options for homebrew in 5th edition. Now, there's nothing here about upcasting, but think about using upcasting to change the duration. So if you cast this at 6th level, it'll last 10 days. If you cast it at 7th level, maybe it'll last a month. Won't let you use higher spell than 5th. You're still limited to that, but the duration will be a month. Cast it at 8th level, maybe it'll be a year. Cast it at 9th level, well, you might say it could be indefinite, or you might do something like where you'd say, you have to cast the exact same contingency every day for a month, and then it becomes an indefinite and permanent contingency. So you have to burn a 9th level spell slot every day for a month to set up this contingency. And of course, you can only have one on you at a time. So if you really wanted it to be permanent, I think that would be kind of an interesting way to do it. So yeah, if 8th makes it go for a month, then maybe 9th could make it go for a year. So yeah, 10 days for 6th. No, 10 days for 6th, a month for 7th, a year for 8th, and then 9th. I don't know. What do you think? You think making it 5 years with just one casting at 9th, and then um, making it every day for 30 days to make it permanent or indefinite until the condition hits? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about that idea of changing the upcasting on this in order to increase the duration of that? That's one of these where you kind of look at it and you go, "Oh, I could see where maybe that could be something that I might allow as a DM if a player pitched that to me." Um, I'd have to figure out if they wanted it to be a permanent thing. I'd have to figure out what to do about that. All right. Please put that down in the comments below. And hey, speaking of outside of the window of this video. Right down below, if you like everything we're doing, please click that subscribe button. Like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell so that you can get notified every time new content drops on the channel. Also, in the description, you'll find how you can follow me on social media and how you can find all of the actual play games that I run as a DM every week over on my Twitch channel. All right, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate you being here. Take care and good night, everybody.